called All That Was Sparta by John Fleming. Our lusty voice was in the tramp of narrow, winding, scree-littered, deep-rooted roads. Ravens, uttering guttural croaks, slow wheeling above. Vast resonating, steeply plunging gorges, ever watchful. Ragged wings as spread, fingers splayed. Stretched out below, the flat purple skies. Men, when heartened by that which that which might be cherished unto cold marble stone. This is too long to put in chat. Aneka, I'm sorry. Unto cold marble stone, following the bearer's sacred light, those brightly lit torches and blazing campfires preserved by a flame Spartans believed could never die. But tragically, in this, for fierce Sparta, we were wrong. Now all that remains of Sparta's defiant spirit is in half-forgotten song. I hear them in troubling dreams, a sadness manifest in my every slowed exhalation of the inexplicable, involuntary sigh. Obscured shrouds of clammy... no wonder I don't read this. Obscured shrouds of clammy scarlet in the grayed mistings, dampenings in dew-soaked morns, hitched up, unfurling, reinforcing what was already the grim personification, that dreadful assuredness of certain death. Those hammering alloys, when they moved, the very mountainside shook. Resolute camaraderie amidst awakening comrades, rising in Oceanus. Radiant Helios prepares to drive the curling of morning's chill vapors upon the shortened steaming. Oh, I'm sorry, this is terrible. It's punctuated very badly. In Oceanus, radiant Helios prepares to drive the curling of morning's chill vapors upon shortened, streaming, laboring breath. I, for one, have always passionately loved the rising dawn. This one isn't even a word. Yet another prince for her pleasure, no doubt, in each new dawning, each man, in that fenced-off section of his undisclosed mind, ashamedly forming anxious thoughts, hands attentive to boastful wounds, where keen metal had struck. Yes, insatiable Eos, undeniably has beauty that alone is only hers. She, rose-tinged goddess, whose drab chariot paces gently over a far-slung, shrunken horizon, is, be it only just as at this moment, quite beautiful. How I didst always welcome an ushering in of another newly made day, and birds re-empowered at morning call, flagrantly answering from tree to tree, swooping plovers mewing over thin marsh grasses, plunging and swerving until, or so it seemed, they should outrun the swift wind itself. But we who were set to destruction did put away all such idle thoughts. We, they who had kept faith with Spartan ideals, then roused us up, mixed wine with flour, drank libations for the fickle gods, goodwill. The months rolled up as one, the blurring of springtime sneaking into summer, pouring into the warming air odors from barley, onions, cheeses, and salted meats, straining oxen, burgeoning shoulders bunched, heaving upon creaking carts. Following behind, a stream of artisans, on occasion a richly stained, streaked, and glowing, sinewy runner, stepping out from the column to disappear into the glare of shimmering heat that sapped unto and pulled upon our strength. It seemed as if all the weary day we marched, the only men in the world for whom war brought a respite from the training. The only men in the world for whom war brought a respite from the training for war. Soon the ritualistic oiling of limbs, a careful, symbolic arranging of long plaited hair, the oncoming battle which gladdened our steadfast hearts. A young goat, before onslaught, sacrificed to Agrotera, Artemis Agrotera, entrails examined for favorable omens, flesh of ram and sheep offered to Zeus, him who emblazoned upon impregnable hoplites. I never heard the word hoplites. An eagle opposite to the throne, hungry to tear at the exposed ribs of corpses, and not forgetting them, them who must again prevail. Is there any other choice other than death? Therefore, let loose. Let loose the shackled titans, a trumpeting of salpinges, the spontaneous eerie moans from flute and pipe, the thumping tympanon, massed panic amidst rising fear, the bronze wall of indestructible armor bristling with lance and spear, the tightly packed phalanx, the stabbing deathly cries, the horrid groans. This is all they shall ever know of Sparta, because what more is there to know? The scattered ranks, wide-eyed, snorting, galloping horses, with nostrils flared, charging across the breeze, men headlong and stumbling, flailing beneath many flashing hoofs, spilt blood, red as our fluttering cloaks, that pools and flows like a slaughtered bullocks. Now the shattered land, those whom shared in this butchery pursue not the vanquished, but rather indulge in brief homage to the palm branch goddess. It is she who inscribes the victorious upon her shield, the sudden quietening, the somber falling. I'm sorry, it's terribly typed. The somber falling in, the fallen, glorified dead, or what was left of us. Grateful ruminations, and only I alone noted the yellowing in a single downward traipsing leaf. But oh, Sparta, if you had but ever known. That's where it stops. It's just dot, 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 dot. I'm sorry. I totally apologize for that. I'm getting rid of it. That's gone. Back to you, Saber. My boo-boo.
It was great, Jolly. Why you say that? I love your readings always. I can read something if nobody else wants.
Okay, Naked and Joey, bring it back. Try it again another time.
I will read a very short poem by Shel Silverstein called Forgotten Language. And I know Joey likes this one too. And it goes like this. Once I spoke the language of the flowers. Once I understood each word the caterpillar said. Once I smiled in secret at the gossip of the starlings and shared a conversation with the housefly in my bed. Once I heard and answered all the questions of the crickets and joined the crying of each falling, dying flake of snow. Once I spoke the language of the flowers. How did it go? How did it go? And this was Shel Silverstein, and back to you, Saber.
If anybody has a poem they would like to share, by all means, please feel free to do so. Heron Rising from the Dark Summer Pond by Mary Oliver. So heavy it's the long-necked, long-bodied heron. Always it is a surprise when her smoke-coloured wings open and she turns from the thick water, from the black sticks of the summer pond, and slowly rises into the air and is gone. Then, not for the first or the last time, I take the deep breath of happiness, and I think how unlikely it is that death is a hole in the ground, how improbable that ascension is not possible, though everything seems so inert, so nailed back into itself. The muskrat and his lumpy lodge, the turtle, the fallen cake, and especially it is wonderful that the summers are long and the ponds so dark and so many, and therefore it isn't a miracle. But the common thing, this decision, this turning of the long legs in the water, this opening up of the heavy body into a new life. See how the sudden grey blue sheets of her wings dives towards the wind. See how the clasp of nothing takes her in. Heron Rising from the Dark Summer Pond by Mary Oliver. If you have a poem that you would like to share, by all means please feel free to do so. You don't have to be a poet to share poetry, but you do have to have a love for the spoken word and a willingness to share, and the more you share, the more you get out of the event. I was going to welcome Shyla with a few numbers, but she's left. So if anybody has a poem that they would like to share, we would love to hear it. It doesn't have to be a poem. It can be song lyrics. So, Trish, if you have a song lyric that you would like to share, we would love to hear it. No pressure.
Well, let's see. Okay. It's song lyrics. And I'm sure most of you have heard it, but it's kind of interesting to just read it instead of sing it. And the song is by Procol Harum, and it's called Whiter Shade of Pale. We skipped a light fandango, turned cartwheels across the floor. I was feeling kind of seasick, but the crowd called out for more. The room was humming harder as the ceiling flew away. When we called out for another drink, the waiter brought a tray. And so it was that later, as the miller told his tale, that her face, first just ghostly, turned a whiter shade of pale. She said, "There is no reason, and the truth is plain to see. But I wandered through my playing cards and would not let her be one of 16 Vestal virgins. who were leaving for the coast. And although my eyes were open, might as well just been closed. She said, I'm home on shore leave. Though in truth, we were at sea, so I took her by the looking glass and forced her to agree, saying, you must be the mermaid who took Neptune for a ride. But she smiled at me so sadly, my anger straightway died. If music be the food of love, then laughter is its queen. And likewise, if behind is in front, then dirt in truth is clean. My mouth by then, like cardboard, seemed to slip straight through my head. So we crash-dived straightway quickly and attacked the ocean bed. And so it was that later, as the miller told his tale, that her face, at first just ghostly, turned a whiter shade of pale. Finn.
Breathe deep, the gathering gloom. Watch lights fade. Okay, I'll shut up.
And that was a nice poem. But I would appreciate, because, you know, guys, sometimes for me, it's really hard to understand different dialects in English. English is not my native language. And if you can paste the poem you're reading in local chat, I would really appreciate that. So, somebody will read now, or nobody will?
Auburn, you started to read.
Me?
Continue. No, Auburn.
Odin, okay.
Orbert forgot the entire thing. I'm looking it up to try to read it to you.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can hit your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired of waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master. If you can think and not make thoughts your aim. If you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same. If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings, and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginning, never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your term long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you, except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common truth. If neither foe nor loving friend can hurt you, 4 men count with you, but none too much. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distant run, yours is the earth and everything in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. So if you have a poem that you would like to share, by all means, please feel free to do so.
I'll go ahead and read this now. I found it.
Okay, the mic is yours.
Late Lament is the title of it. Breathe deep, the gathering gloom. Watch lights fade from every room. Bedsitter people look back and lament another day's useless energy spent. Lovers wrestle as one. Lonely man cries for love and has none. New mother picks up and suckles her son. Senior citizens wish they were young. Old-hearted orb that rules the night removes the colors from our sight. Red is gray and yellow white, but we decide which is right and which is an illusion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Obi. The next poem is by John Frederick Mims. It's called Love Poem. And I'm reading it for a very special lady because she loves this poem. My clumsiest dear, whose hands shipwreck vases, at whose quick touch all glasses chip and ring, whose palms are boars in china, bears in linen, and have no cunning with any soft thing, except all ill-at-ease fidgeting people, the refugee uncertain at the door, you make it home. Deftly you steady the drunk clambering from his undulant floor. Unpredictable, dear, the taxi driver's terror, dry shrieking at far headlights, pale as a dime, yet leaping before apoplectic streetcars, mystic in any space and never on time. A wrench in clocks and the solar system. Only with words and people and love you move at ease. Traffic of wit expert in maneuver, and keep us all devotion at your knees. Forgetting your coffee, spreading on our flannel, your lipstick grinning on our coat. So gale in love's unbreakable heaven, our souls on glory at spilt golden float. Be with me, darling, early and late, smash glasses. I will study rhyme music for your sake, but should your hands drop white and empty, all the toys of the world will break. And I usually follow that with one that Jolly wants from Shakespeare. And that is Sonnet 130. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. If snow be wire, why then her breasts are done. If airs be wires, black wires grow on her head. I've seen roses damasked, red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks. And in some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know that music has a far more pleasing sound. I grant I never saw a goddess go. My mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. And yet, by heaven, I think my love as rare as any be delight with thoughts compare. So if you have a poem that you would like to share, by all means, please feel free to do so.
I can read something. Actually,
Okay.
I was hoping that Ale Angel would read together with me, but she's not responsive to my IMs, probably not seeing them, only listening. So wake up, Ale Angel! Okay, we will read Pablo Neruda, Sonnet 17. She is native native Spanish speaker, so will delight us with the version of this poem in Spanish. I will paste the English version in local chat. And it is here, and I really love a lot this poem. It is such beautiful one. And it goes like this. I do not love you as if you were a Zaltros or Topaz or the arrow of carnations the fire shoots off. I love you as certain dark things are to be loved, in a secret between the shadow and the soul. I love you as the plant that never blooms but carries in itself the light of hidden flowers. Thanks to your love, a certain solid fragrance risen from the earth leaves dark in my body. I love you without knowing how or when or from where. I love you straightforwardly without complexities or pride. So I love you because I know no other way than this, where I does not exist, nor you. So close that your hand on my chest is my hand, and so close that your eyes close as I fall asleep. And that was English version, and Mike goes to l'angel.
Okay, hello everyone. Happy New Year. Well, esto es Soneto 17 de Pablo Neruda. No te amo como si fueras rosa de sal, topacio, o flecha de claveles que propagan el fuego. Te amo como se aman ciertas cosas oscuras, secretamente entre la sombra y el alma. Te amo como la planta que no florece y lleva dentro de sí, escondida, la luz de aquellas flores. Y gracias por tu amor vive, y gracias a tu amor vive oscuro en mi cuerpo, el apretado aroma que ascendió de la tierra. Te amo sin saber cómo, ni cuándo, ni de dónde. Te amo directamente, sin problemas ni orgullo. Así te amo porque no sé amar de otra manera, sino así, de este modo en que no soy ni eres. Tan cerca que tu mano sobre mi pecho es mía, tan cerca que se cierran tus ojos con mi sueño. Thank you.
Thank you, Enigma and Angel. If you have a poem that you would like to share, by all means, please feel free to do so. You don't have to share poetry. You do have to have a look for the spoken word willingness to share. And the more you share, the more you'll get out of.
I do.
Okay, the mic is yours.
Okay, this is to follow Trisha's. She chose my favorite band, and this is my favorite song by them for personal reasons, not because it's the best song, but it's my favorite. But I figured here in Sparta, with all of the sea life going on, this would be appropriate. This is A Salty Dog, written by Gary Brooker and Keith Reed. All hands on deck, we've run afloat, I heard the captain cry. Explore the ship, replace the cook, let no one leave alive. Across the straits and round the Horn, how far can sailors fly? A twisted path our tortured course, and no one left alive. We sailed for parts unknown to man, where ships come home to die. No lofty peak, nor fortress bold could match our captain's eye. Upon the 7th seasick day, we made our port of call. Sand so white and sea so blue, no mortal place at all. We fired the gun and burnt the mast and rowed from ship to shore. The captain cried, we sailors wept. Our tears were tears of joy. How many moons and how many Junes have passed since we made land? A salty dog, this seaman's log, your witness, my own hand. Back to you, Saber.
Thank you, Joey. If anybody has a poem that they would like to share, by all means, please feel free to do so. You don't have to refer to share poetry. Just to hear what you have to read.
Yes, please, Neruda. Sabre, Jolly, please, Neruda, Neruda. I request Neruda poem, any.
I know one that you don't want.
The only one that I'm really comfortable reading well. I can
Do
read
it,
it.
Jolly. Do it, Jolly. Do it, do it, do it.
Okay, I have to find it. Okay. I usually bring up the Spanish note card by mistake. No, I got the right one. Okay. Putting it in chat. My breath is still a little weird from coughing so much, so it might not even sound like what it's supposed to, but this is poem number 20, and it's from 20 Love Poems and a Song of Despair. Tonight I can write the saddest lines. Write, for example, the night is starry and the stars are blue and shiver in the distance. The night wind revolves in the sky and sings. Tonight I can write the saddest lines. I loved her, and sometimes she loved me too. Through nights like this one, I held her in my arms. I kissed her again and again under the endless sky. She loved me. Sometimes I loved her too. How could one not have loved her great still eyes? Tonight I can write the saddest lines, to think that I do not have her, feel that I have lost her, to hear the immense night still more immense without her. And the verse falls to the soul like dew to the pasture. What does it matter that my love could not keep her? The night is starry and she is not with me. This is all. In the distance, someone is singing. In the distance, my soul is not satisfied that it has lost her. My sight tries to find her, as though to bring her closer. My heart looks for her, and she is not with me. The same night whitening the same trees, we of that time are no longer the same. I no longer love her, that's certain, but how I loved her. My voice tried to find the wind, to touch her hearing. Another's. She will be another's, as she was before my kisses. Her voice, her bright body, her infinite eyes. I no longer love her, that's certain. Maybe I love her. Love is so short. Forgetting is so long. Because through nights like this, when I held her in my arms, my soul is not satisfied that it has lost her. Though this be the last pain that she makes me suffer, and these the last verses that I write for her. Back to you, Saber.
Okay, 11 by Pablo Neruda. Out of the lemon flower loosed. Oops. On the moonlight love's lashed an insatiable essence. Sodden with fragrance, the lemon tree's yellow emerges. The lemons move down from the tree's planetarium. They're like merchandise. The harbours are big with it, bizarre for the light and barbarous gold. We open. The halves of her miracle and a clotting of acid brims, into the starry divisions, creation's original juices, irreducible, changeless. So the freshness lives on in a lemon, and the sweet smelling house of the rind. The portions are canon and are fed. Cutting the lemon, the knife leaves the little cathedral, alcoved unguessed by the eye, with open assiduous glass to the light topaz, riding the uproots, altars, aromatic facades. So while the hand holds the cut of the lemon, half a world on a trencher, the gold of the universe swells to your touch. A cup yellow with miracles, a breast in the nipple. Perfuming the earth, a flashing made cruce, the diminutive fire of a planet. And I know I missed at least one line in that. That's the
Saber,
lemon.
I can do. Oops. Sorry.
Okay, yours?
I can do another Neruda.
Okay, the mic is yours.
But Socrates is on voice today, so this is for him. He probably knows it by heart. He's heard it so many times. Cat's Dream by Pablo Neruda. How neatly a cat sleeps. Sleeps with its paws and its posture. Sleeps with its wicked claws and with its unfeeling blood. Sleeps with all the rings, a series of burnt circles, which have formed the odd geology of its sand-colored tail. I should like to sleep like a cat, with all the fur of time, with a tongue rough as flint, with the dry sex of fire, and after speaking to no one, stretch myself over the world. I have seen how the cat asleep would undulate, how the night flowed through it like dark water, and at times it was going to fall or possibly plunge into the bare, deserted snowdrifts. Sometimes it grew so much in sleep, like a tiger's great-grandfather, and would leap in the darkness over rooftops, clouds, and volcanoes. Sleep, sleep, cat of the night, with Episcopal ceremony and your stone-carved mustache. Take care of all our dreams. Control the obscurity of our slumbering prowess with your relentless heart and the great ruff of your tail. Back to you, Saber.
Because Socrates likes cat poems, this one is by Charles Bukowski.
Oh,
The history
Saber, is your mic off?
should be on. Are you cracking, Joey? Can everybody hear me?
And
I do. I do hear you, and I hear you, Jolly.
Pardon me?
The History of One Tough Mother by Charles Bukowski. He came to the door one night, wet, thin, beaten and terrorized. A white, cross-eyed, tailless cat. I took him in and fed him, and he stayed, grew to trust me, until a friend drove up the driveway and ran him over. I took what was left to the vet, who said, not much chance. Give him these pills. His backbone is crushed, but it was crushed before and somehow mended. If he lives, he'll never walk. Look at these X-rays. He's been shot. Look here. The pellets are still there. He once had a tail. Somebody took it off. I took the cat back. It was a hot summer, one of the hottest in decades. I put him on the bathroom floor, gave him water and pills. He wouldn't eat. He wouldn't touch the water. I dipped my finger into it and wet his mouth and talked to him. I didn't go anywhere. I put in a lot of bathroom time and talked to him and gently touched him, and he looked back at me with those pale blue crossed eyes, and as the days went by he made his first move, dragging himself forward by his front legs. The rear ones wouldn't work. He made it to the litter box, crawled over and in. It was like the trumpet of a possible victory, blowing into that bathroom and into the city. I related to that cat. I'd had it bad. Not that bad, but bad enough. One morning, he got up, stood up, fell back down, and just looked at me. You can make it, I said to him. He kept trying, getting up, falling down. Finally, he walked a few steps. He was like a drunk. The rear legs just didn't want to do it, and he fell again, rested, then got up. You know the rest. Now he's better than ever. Cross-eyed, almost toothless, but the grace is back, and that look in his eyes never left. And now sometimes I'm interviewed. They want to hear about life and literature, and I get drunk and hold up my cross-eyed, shocked, run over, detailed cat, and they say, look at this. But they don't understand. They say something like, you say you've been influenced by Serene. No, I hold the cat up. By what happens? By things like this, by this, by this. I shake the cat, hold him up, in the smoky and drunken light, and he relaxes. He knows. It's then that the interview ends. Although I'm proud sometimes, when I see the pictures, and later, and there I am, and there is the cat, and we are photographed together. He too knows it's bullshit, but that somehow it works. That's the history of One Tough Motherfucker by Charles Bukowski. Do you have another event after this one, Aneka?
Let's go on, guys. We have time, and Socrates is here. He's recording, so if you guys would like to read some of your own poems, keep in mind that this is now recorded.
I apologize. I didn't know I was crashing. When did my mic drop out? Was it
I
after
hear
the
you.
poem? Was it after the poem, or while I was still reading
it was
that?
After.
Oh, okay. And then you heard me yapping about Saber's mic. Okay. I couldn't hear anything from him. I was crashing. Sorry.
Mr. Mistopheles by T.S. Eliot. You ought to know Mr. Mistopheles, the original conjuring cat. There can be no doubt about that. Please listen to me and don't scoff. All his inventions are off his own bat. There's no such cat in the metropolis. He holds all the pattern monopolies, for performing surprising illusions and creating eccentric confusions, at prestidigitation and at ledger domain, to defy examination and to deceive you again. The greatest magicians have something to learn from Mr. Mistopheles' conjuring turn, presto, and away we go. And we all said, oh, well I never. Was there ever a cat so clever as magical Mr. Mistopheles? He is quiet and small. He is black, from the tip of his from his ears to the tip of his tail. Sorry about that. He can creep through the tiniest crack. He can walk on the narrowest rail. He can pick any card from a pack. He's equally cunning with dice. He's always deceiving you into believing that he's only hunting for that knife. He can play any trick with a cork or a spoon in a bit of fish placed. If you look for a knife or a fork and you think it is meal in this place, you've seen it one moment and then it is gone. but you'll find it next week lying out on the lawn. And they all said, "Oh, well, I never. Was there ever a cat so clever as magical Mr. Mistopheles? His manner is vague and aloof. You would think there was nobody shyer. But his voice has been heard on the roof when he was curled up by the fire. It's sometimes been heard by the fire when he was about on the roof. At least we all heard that somebody purred, which is incontestable proof of his singular magical powers, and I'd known the family to call him in from the garden for hours, while he was asleep in the hall. And not long ago, that phenomenal cat produced 7 kittens right out of a hat, and we all said, "Oh, well, I never. Did you ever know a cat so clever as magical Mr. Mistopheles?" Yes, sir. You should read the naming of cats, Joey.
Orb has a poem.
Okay, Orb, the mic is yours.
Thanks. I'm trying to keep the mic off between times. The Rain by Robert Creeley. All night the sound had come back again, and again falls this quiet, persistent rain. What am I to myself that must be remembered, insist upon so often? Is it that never the case? Even the hardness of rain falling will have for me? Something other than this, something not so insistent. Am I to be locked in this final uneasiness of, if you love me, lie next to me, be for me like rain, the getting out of the tiredness, the fatuousness, the semi-lust of intentional indifference, wet with the decent happiness. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have a poem that they would like to read? You don't have to be a poet to share poetry, but you do have to have a love for the spoken word and a willingness to share, and the more you share, the more you get out of the event.
Want another cat poem?
The name of the cats, yes.
Look at poems, Jolly. Socrates is waiting for them always.
Okay. All right, here's a T.S. Eliot that I just copied a couple of weeks ago, so it's not one he's heard a million times from me anyway. Okay. And I'm still getting used to reading it, so. I'm making excuses before you even start. The Old Gumby Cats by T.S. Eliot. I have a Gumby cat in mind. Her name is Jenny Anydots. Her coat is of the tabby kind, with tiger stripes and leopard spots. All day she sits upon the stair, or on the steps, or on the mat. She sits and sits and sits and sits, and that's what makes a Gumby cat. But when the day's hustle and bustle is done, then the Gumby cat's work is but hardly begun. And when all the family's in bed and asleep, she tucks up her skirts to the basement to creep. She is deeply concerned with the ways of the mice. Their behavior's not good and their manners not nice. So when she has got them lined up on the matting, she teaches them music, crocheting, and tatting. I have a Gumby cat in mind. Her name is Jenny Anydots. Her equal would be hard to find. She likes the warm and sunny spots. All day she sits beside the hearth, or on the bed, or on my hat. She sits and sits and sits and sits, and that's what makes a Gumby cat. But when the day's hustle and bustle is done, then the Gumby cat's work is but hardly begun. As she finds that the mice will not ever keep quiet, she is sure it is due to a regular diet. And believing that nothing is done without trying, she sets right to work with her baking and frying. She makes them a mouse cake of bread and dried peas, and a beautiful fry of lean bacon and cheese. I have a Gumby cat in mind. Her name is Jenny Anydots. The curtain cord she likes to wind and tie it into sailor knots. She sits upon the windowsill or anything that's smooth and flat. She sits and sits and sits and sits, and that's what makes a Gumby cat. But when that day's hustle and bustle is done, then the Gumby cat's work is but hardly begun. She thinks that the she thinks that the cockroaches just need employment to prevent them from idle and wanton destroyment. So she's formed from that lot of disorderly louts a troop of well-disciplined, helpful Boy Scouts with purpose in life and a good deed to do. And she even created a beetle's tattoo. So for old Gumby cats, let us now give 3 cheers, on whom well-ordered households depend, it appears. Back to you, Sacred.
Okay. Shimbleshanks the Railway Cat by T.S. Eliot. There's a whisper down the line at 11:39 when the night mail's ready to depart. Then Shimbles, where is Shimbles? Has he gone to hunt the thimble? We must find him or the train cannot start. Or the guards and the porters and the station master's daughters. They are searching high and low, saying, Shimbles, where is Shimbles? For unless he's very nimble, then the night mail just can't go. At 11:42, when the signal's nearly due, and the passengers are frantic to a man, then Shimbles will appear and they'll saunter to the rear. He's been busy in the luggage van. He gives one flash of his glass green eyes, and the signals all go clear, and we're off at last for the northern parts of the northern hemisphere. You may say that by and large it's Shimbles who's in charge of the sleeping car express, from the drivers and the guards to the baggage men playing cards, who will supervise them all more or less. Down the corridor he paces and examines all the faces of the travellers in the first and in the third. He establishes control by a regular patrol, and he knows at once if anything's occurred. He will watch you without winking, and he sees what you are thinking, and it certainly doesn't approve of hilarity and riot, so the folks are very quiet, and Shimbleshanks is about and on the move. You can play no pranks with Shimbleshanks. He's the cat that cannot be ignored. So nothing goes wrong on the Northern Mail when Shimbleshanks is abroad. It's very pleasant when you have found your little den and your name written up upon the door. And the berth is very neat with a newly folded sheet. There's not a speck of dust on the floor. There's every sort of light. You can make it dark or bright. There's a button that you turn to make a breeze. There's a funny little basin you're supposed to wash your face in, and a crank to shut the window if you sneeze. Then the guard looks in politely and will ask you very brightly, you will like your morning tea weak or strong? But Shimbles, just behind him, was ready to remind him, for Shimbleshanks won't let anything go wrong. And when you creep into your cosy cot berth, and you pull up the counterpane, you are bound to admit it's very nice. You know that you won't be bothered by mice. You can leave all that to the railway cat, the cat of the railway train. In the middle of the night he's always fresh and bright. Every now and then he has a cup of tea, with perhaps a drop of scotch, whilst he's keeping on his watch, only stopping here and there to catch a breeze. You were fast asleep in crew, so you never really knew. He was walking up and down the station. You were sleeping all the while. He was busy in Carlisle, where he greets the station master with elation. But you saw him at Dumfries when he summons the police. If there's anything they ought to know about, when you get to Galway Gate, there you do not have to wait. The Shimbleshanks will help you to get out. It gives you a wave of his long brown tail, which says, I'll see you again. You'll meet without fail on the midnight mail, the cap of the railway train. That's Shimbleshanks the Railway Cat by T.S. Eliot. And that brings us to the end of the event. Thank you to everyone for coming and sharing. Stay safe, have fun, enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget Hotel Chelsea at noon. With it being the first Sunday of the week, first Sunday of the month, or the year as well, we have you, we read you. So usually when that happens, it's Clarence and one other who will be reading the poems that you pass up. The poems mostly have to be your own, but they can be other people's poems too. It all depends on how the reader is feeling when he reads it. Stay safe everyone, have fun, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks for hosting, Sabra and Jolly, and I hope to see you next week again on Sunday, 8 AM, second lifetime. I will try to remember landing point this time. Okay guys, have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.